Hi, I'm Beth with American Patchwork and Quilting. Today I'm sharing tips for sewing block 3 in our Bright New Day block of the month. Click the link in the video description to grab those free instructions. This block has 4 flying geese units in it, and we're going to put those together using the no waste method. This is a really great technique to learn because you're sewing squares together and you don't have any fabric waste. First, I'm going to mark the back of my squares on a diagonal. I have these on a sand board. This is really helpful to use when you're marking. That way it doesn't distort or stretch your fabric. And if you don't have something like this, you can just use fine grit sandpaper, but it's very helpful. And then I like to use a ruler that has a 45-degree line so that I can line that 45 degrees up with one of the sides. And that way I know I'm getting a nice straight line. And then just mark all 4 of your squares. Next, take your 5 1/4 inch square and take 2 of your marked squares and align them in opposite corners, aligning that drawn line, and it will overlap in the center, and that is fine. And then we're going to sew a scant 1/4 inch on either side of our drawn line. It's time to sew, so just remember to set your machine for that scant 1/4 inch seam. I've sewn on both sides of my marked line, and now I'm going to cut on the marked line. I've pressed both units towards the triangles, and now I'm going to take another square and layer it on the remaining corner with the line going across the center, and then sew a scant 1/4 inch on either side of that line. So you want to do that with both of the units. I chain pieced the units, but I actually just left them connected, and I'm going to cut apart on the line, and I'm going to do both at the same time. Just make sure the lines are lined up. Adjust if necessary, and then cut apart. Now I will take this back over to my ironing board and press towards the triangles, and that will give us our 4 flying geese units. Our last step is to trim to 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and just make sure that at the top of the point here you don't trim more than 1/4 inch off. If you do, then when you go to join this to another unit, you will lose your point in the seam allowance. So I like to do that top side by the point first. That way I know I have enough of my seam allowance when I trim the bottom. Now it's time to assemble the block. I've already sewn together the center section, so now I'm just sewing my flying geese units and triangle square units together and adding them to the center. The fabric I was working with today is called Land of Liberty, and that's by My Mind's Eye for Riley Blake Designs, and it's such a fun patriotic look for this block. The second block is made from Moda Fabrics, and this is the Sophie collection by Brenda Riddle Designs. It's a lovely soft floral with reds, pinks, greens, and grays. It's just amazing how different these blocks look just by changing up the fabrics. Join our private Facebook group so you can share your progress and see other people's options too. It's been so fun seeing all the different blocks and fabrics chosen so far. Find the link to join in our video description, and we can't wait to see your Block 3.